Hello, hi everyone, happy stand day. I hope you've had a great stand wherever you are. I couldn't do a live from St Albans today because it was so windy, the sound just wouldn't have picked up. So I've come home, got my hot water bottle because I was absolutely freezing. I was not very well prepared this morning. I looked outside and the rain had stopped. It was quite a decent temperature actually, and I didn't notice how windy it was. So yeah, I've spent yet another stand shivering because I've just not been dressed for the weather. But a really lovely one. Loads of really lovely conversation as usual. Connecting with each other again, and there's something actually about being at the stands when the weather is a bit inclement. It kind of, I don't know, it brings you together a bit more, if that makes sense. And yeah, people that don't go because the weather's not really up to it. Well, Ron, our 101-year-old freedom fighter, was there as usual. So yeah, don't let weather put you off from gathering. If a 101-year-olds can battle the elements, then I'm sure most of the rest of us can. But anyway, yeah, so I hope everyone's doing well, coping with the constant barrage of information and it's just stuff, isn't it? Just stuff constantly unfolding. So we've got now in the UK things of kind of, you know, a kind of victory with the rollback of the mandates, NHS mandates, the vax passports and so on and so forth. But of course they're constantly trying to slip things in through the back door, and so now we've got the proposed reform of the Human Rights Act, which you know, if this kind of thing doesn't alert people to what the agenda is here, then you know, you do have to question what the chances are really of people waking up to this. I'm not really going to go into that here. There's a lot of information out there on what these reforms involve and how you can have your say to get this nipped in the bud, we hope. But as I keep saying, you know, they're not going to give in. They're going to try any way they can. And if it's through seriously questionable legislation, then they will try that. And if they can try and do that behind people's backs, I mean, fortunately, enough eagle-eyed people out there who see these things being lined up, and so it's out there, so we know. But you know, I think a lot of people are panicking about this and saying, "Oh, it's the end of human rights for us if it goes through." And I'd remind people that human rights are not something that are dictated by a few people in a position of so-called power. That's not where our rights come from, and it doesn't matter what they try and pass, what laws, you know, which are really, you know, it's the same thing. There are much higher laws governing all of this, and you know, even if this did go through, that's not the law, that's not the end of it. And so, okay, well, we've now got no human rights. This is all a very individual journey that we're on here, and it's that journey to, whether you want to call it sovereignty, you know, being in your innate power, standing in your power, understanding what you truly are, really, in essence. It's it's all an individual journey we're on that we have to make. And somebody who's fully realised these acts, these things, you know, it makes absolutely no difference, because you know the truth, and it's not in a piece of legislation or you know, all of these things are ever changing throughout the ages, but one thing remains the same, and that is what we are truly as human beings, what our inalienable rights are, simply because we are born, we are here, we're human. And I've been noticing, well, it's been becoming clearer and clearer, how much this whole thing, you know, if you want to call it the Great Awakening, you know, whatever it is, this kind of moving into another realm of consciousness and awareness, it has to take place on an individual basis. So people who, there's a lot of looking outside at the moment. Well, what's everyone else doing? There aren't enough of us. People need to be doing this, that, the other. We all need to be on the same page. But this is coming from a place of fear. Again, it's not coming from that rooted position where you know absolutely, and so you're completely fearless. Then it doesn't matter if you were the only person alive knowing this truth, living without fear, knowing that you are always safe. You know, whether, and this is not to do with the body and you know, this personal identity, this is actual beingness. If you're in connection with that, and you know, it really doesn't matter what anybody else is doing or thinking or how they're acting. And so I don't know if I can really articulate this in the way that I want to, but it's an individual process. So obviously we are a collective. This is, you know, we're a collective consciousness as well, but we're still, you know, we're the individuals within it, and every one of us is going to have to face the fear at some point, and it's only when we've come through the other side that we're able to, you radiate that out then, and that influences other people. But it's a weird kind of paradox thing. It's very difficult to put into words. I'm probably not really explaining myself very well. I know what I mean. But yes, I would say we're at that point where it can be very distracting to be focusing overly on what other people are doing, what other people is, oh my God, you know, it, there are too many people who are asleep. In the end, it really doesn't matter. It all comes down to us individually, and us coming through that fear, us awakening, us stepping into our power and truth. And that's the irony, is that once it's you're through that and you realise it makes no difference, it matters not a jot what other people are doing and where they're at in their journey, that's when you actually have that incredible influence in a positive way over other people, to step into their power, to empower them at the moment that it doesn't matter to you anymore whether they're empowered or not, if that makes any sense. So obviously I can only speak from my experience, but I'm noticing, you know, more and more when I'm finding myself pulled out and maybe a little bit panicky or anxious about the way things are heading, and in the end what's my experience? That's all that we're concerned with. That's all we can know is our own experience. And how do I want that to be? And it's to be without fear. And so it all begins within. It can only, you are the only one that can do it for yourself. It's a process that you will only experience within yourself. And it has to happen for all of us, whether it's this life or the next, you know, whatever. It's that awakening process can only happen within you. It will have obviously happen on a collective scale as well. But that's where the focus needs to be, is on our own process. And so don't get too stressed out. Don't get too fearful and anxious that not enough people are waking up. They need to be doing something, because again, you've totally handed your power over to something outside of you when everything is happening within you. It's really, really important. It's possibly the most important thing. Always bring it back to yourself. To how am I experiencing this? What's happening within me? Because that is, but someone who's truly standing in their power, you know, and we've had many people through the ages, you know, that are prophets and saints and masters and gurus, who you know, whoever you may be kind of drawn to, the influence they've had has been tremendous, because they're standing in their power, truly standing in their power, and that radiates. And that someone like that has more influence. And when I say influence, I mean in the best way imaginable, than thousands, millions probably, of people who are living shut down by fear. And so that's what the focus needs to be on, I feel. Today it's just something that's been going around in my mind. So yeah, that's it really. That's my message for today. And I hope you're having a great day. I'm looking forward to seeing all the footage from the UK convoy. I know people that have been, are actually on it, and also cheering people on from the bridges. I've got a bridge just down the road from me, literally just round the corner. So I'm hoping to be able to wave and have my placards and everything up there a bit later on. So yeah, that's going to be really great to see how that pans out. But yeah, so have a great day. I will speak to you very soon. Take care. Peace.